Hey everyone, how you doing? Was listening a little bit of the Dave Clark Five. I know, taking back a ways, but hey, it was a great group. There was a lot of group in the '60s. That's when love was being written about. Hello everyone, how are you? Hello Jill, and hello Caroline, Mr. Bush. Hey Lois, Warrior Queen, how you doing? Well, it's Tuesday. It's a beautiful day. Earlier, I was listening to some Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I don't know. As I said, no doubt about it. If this is my first time through, then it has just been far out. If this been a return trip, well, I can't imagine it been any better. I mean, at least the music was really good, wasn't it? Hello, Hadley. How are you doing, my dear? Daniel, good to see you. Brandy, you're a fine girl. Matt Hatter, how you doing? Good to see you. Material Classified, hello. EQ, I think EO, how are you doing? Sherry, hello. Susan, good to see you. Peter, how are you? It's evening time over there for you folks, I know. J.A., good to see you. David Wolf, missed yesterday's. Well, guess what? I think a lot of other people did. Boy, talk about some screwy things going on. The thought experiment. Interesting emails and comments. Something's going on here, folks. They're just getting all up in our business and we don't even know about it. Resident Alien, how are you doing? Chris, good to see you as well. Hello, Knowledge Seeker. Lost in Space, good to see you as well. Wow, just a full group here. So good to see everyone. So as I talk, I'm going to sneak in what I tried to sneak in yesterday. And I can see that my window is saying, so as I'm talking, I'm just going to flash through here, not make any comments. I'll let you kind of decide. The pictures are self-explanatory. And while we're looking at these fun-filled pictures, may I invoke favor upon you? May favor follow you? May favor go before you? And may that favor be accompanied by overwhelming prosperity and complete restoration of favor in your life. Nothing missing, nothing broken. So as we continue to look at these pictures, by the way, we're going to look a little bit more at this book. Fascinating. So I want to get to the fact that we've known that there have been atomic wars here. We know as well that, well, we see, for instance, this is ancient cuneiform. This was the first pictures, the Russian. So here were some of the things that we begin to look at. I mean, does that look natural? No. And as we see it, it ain't. How about that one? How about that one? Does that look natural to you? Does that look like, I don't know. Seriously, folks, doesn't that look like either a rocket or, I don't know. You decide. I'm just showing you some of the oddities that give cause for us to really think that something happened to our neighbor up there. And apparently, I don't think it was that long ago. I think that it may have been, my theory is, within the last 1,000 years. Could be sooner. Going through quick because we have a lot to cover, but I wanted to get this out to you. You can take the commentary from yesterday and, make your own decision. Is that a mushroom cloud? I don't know. We've caught them. Is something going on? I don't know. Or do we see fossilized remains? Do we see humanids? I don't know. You decide. I'm not here to interpret what's being shown, but all I'm trying to show you is that we're finding more and more anomalies, more and more evidence that there was a culture there, apparently a thriving civilization. For some reason, I get the sense that it was probably something like we would have seen maybe in ancient Greece, maybe Sumer. I don't know. But, you know, some of this stuff is just so weird that you can say, well, maybe it is just a rock. I don't know. We're finding more and more strange oddities. They continue to come in. You can see, as I said, it took me about 3 or 4 hours just to collect these. The Ethicus one is unfiltered. That's water back there, folks. They can say whatever they want. But again, I mean, this is what curiosity rolled up on. Looks like something burnt to me. And, you know, so we can track curiosity. The real Jimmy Roberts one, go over and check out his YouTube channel. So there you go. Look at that's where curiosity caught that. Clearly looks like to me something crashed. I don't know. You make up your own minds. That's the picture without the filters. Does that look like water to you? Looks like water to me. Just continues to come in. Anomaly after anomaly. I think there was a war up there. I think it altered the planet. I think it took place. I don't know where the attackers are, but I got a sense that we may know where they are. I think they're here. I think they're here among us. So there you go. Just got that out so that everybody can see very quickly some strange stuff. Looks like to me that there was life up there. I don't know if they went underground or not. We're getting into a lot of strange stuff, folks. How many of you saw the Obama tweet that went out? Did any of you see that? And then Hillary Clinton followed right behind it. You stay at this long enough and you start looking at words. Thank you, Caroline. Words, the English language is a spellbound language. You do know that. It is. So I look very carefully at what leaders, world influencers, what they're saying. I mean, you can't argue that whether you want to agree or disagree, what they do say has an influence. Barack Obama said something on Sunday that was just puzzling. And apparently it's now the catchphrase. He tweeted out condolences to the Easter worshipers and travelers. Is there another religion besides Christianity that worships Easter? I mean, is there another one I'm not aware of? I know the 25th of December, there's a lot of different faiths. And then Hillary tweeted out almost verbatim the same thing. Condolences to the Easter worshipers of all faiths. What? Folks, you've got to pay attention to words. So why not say to the Christians? I mean, it's their holiday. It's their holiest of all days. But yet, it's Easter worshipers. I don't know. Something's really afoot there, my folks. It is, and you go and, you can look at all the known facts of who and what Easter is. Ishtar goes back to the Sumerians, man. So I don't know. Really odd, isn't it? All right. Let's get right into this. Things are getting weird, folks, and I contend, yes, exactly. Which one do you want to take? Someone says, if I take them both, what happens? You'll meet yourself coming and going. It's like, what happens to couples that drift apart. The last part of a relationship is where you get hallway sex. And you know what hallway sex is, right? That's where you pass each other and you go, you know what I'm saying? So, coitus you, get it. All right, folks. Who is Ishtar? Esther. She goes by many different names. It's pagan. Just someone asked the question. All right. Can AI read our minds? Yes. I remember the show back on, I think it was PBS, Point Counterpoint. Great show. I used to love it. And so if there was someone who would like to take an opposite position, let me know. I think that would be a great conversation to have. My position is AI can. We did an experiment and it took it less than 24 hours for it to manifest. Saw a number of people commenting on the fact it's happening to you and it's happening with more and more frequency. So AI, why do I keep bringing it up? Because things are changing. I had an individual mother sent me something this morning. Again, the synchronicity on this is just uncanny. So folks, check this out. Let's just run through the headlines. I've got a shocker for you on this one, folks. Here we go. This is an executive order on maintaining American leadership in artificial intelligence. This is an executive order signed by President Trump. As you can see, it was issued out on February 11th, 2019. I read this whole executive order, this EO. And, well, it's very clear as far as the United States government is concerned, both militarily, strategically, and everything else, AI is the top priority. This executive order is broad. It's, well, as you can see, Section 1, Policy and Principles. Artificial intelligence, AI, promises to drive growth of the United States economy, enhance our economic and national security, and improve our quality of life. The United States is the world leader in AI research and development and deployment. Continued American leadership in AI is of paramount importance to maintaining the economic and national security of the United States and to shaping the global evolution of AI in a manner consistent with our nation's value, policies, and priorities. The federal government plays an important role in facilitating AI R&D, promoting the trust of the American people in the development and deployment of AI-related technologies, training a workforce capable of using AI in their occupations, and protecting the American AI technology base from attempted acquisition by strategic competitors and adversarial nations. Maintaining American leadership in AI requires a concerted effort to promote advancements in technology and innovation while protecting American technology, economic and national security, civil liberties, privacy, and American values, and enhancing international and industrial collaboration with foreign partners and allies. It is the policy of the United States government to sustain and enhance the scientific, technological, and economic leadership position of the United States in AI R&D and deployment through a coordinated federal government strategy and the American AI Initiative, guided by 5 principles. And it goes on to state specifically what these principles are, what they cover. For instance, A, the United States must drive technological breakthroughs in AI across the federal government, industry, and academia in order to promote scientific discovery, economic competitiveness, and national security. We could have a roundtable discussion just on that first principle. Look at what it's saying. Across the federal government, AI. Listen, I'm neither on either side. I respect the office of the presidency. I didn't like the last guy was in there, but in my life, I didn't like a number of them. So, you know what? But I was a lobbyist at one time, was very active in politics. There is a language, and this is written in it, by the way, legalese. And the thing about legalese, anyone, if you ever get caught up into the legal system, whether it be business, otherwise, you know it's complicated. But everything goes by the definition of a word. Here it says industry, academia. In order to promote scientific discovery, economic competitiveness, and national security. It goes on to say that the United States must drive development of appropriate technical standards and reduce barriers to the safe testing and deployment of AI technologies in order to enable the creation of new AI-related industries and the adoption of AI by today's industry. Folks, this is a complete game changer. Much like the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act of 2010 and the Affordable Care Act of 2010 were major game changers. It federalized the last bastions of private industry. This is the same thing. The United States must train current and future generations of American workers with the skills to develop and apply AI technologies to prepare them for today's economy and jobs of the future. Economy. The United States must foster public trust and confidence in AI technologies and protect civil liberties. Well, I don't know. I'm sure that whoever wrote this doesn't realize that there's people like us that you can't have privacy in AI. It's impossible. But it makes you feel good. It codifies us, and we go, well, you know, the government's all for us. You know, they're out there protecting our rights. And American values in the application in order to fully realize the potential of AI technologies for the American people. You buying it? It's got money behind this, so it's happening. Lastly, the United States must promote an international environment that supports American AI research and innovation and opens markets for American AI industries while protecting our technological advantage in AI and protecting critical AI technologies from acquisition by strategic competitors and adversarial nations. And folks, it goes on. We got a lot more to cover here. This is AI everything. No exemptions. This is what I would call, yeah, I think a colonoscopy would be a good comparison. I mean, this is where AI is headed. I mean, it's going to be all the way up our asses, and there ain't going to be any escape. And as you go on to read this, this is on whitehouse.gov. Go there yourself. Thank you, Mama, for sending it. It's eye-opening. I mean, look what I just turned. Enhance access to high quality and fully traceable federal data models and computing resources to increase the value of such resources for AI R&D. What? Reduce barriers to the use of AI technologies to promote their innovation application while protecting American technology. Goes on through roles and responsibilities. Federal investment in AI research. Do you know, I could probably write a business plan, probably be able to be the antithesis of everyone else, which would probably give the business plan a higher ranking and priority by saying what we're building is the hive. And there's timelines, 180 days. He wants a full report. Think I'm BSing here, folks? Coming to the store shelves, cameras that guess your age and sex. This is AP News. Folks, this is getting, again, I grew up in a time that, I'm so glad there wasn't the internet. Seriously. I'm so glad. But I help in my small way in promoting this, whatever it is. So I've told you about the Walmart shopping carts. Once you put your freaking hand on the handle to push the cart, they got you, brother. They got your BIOS and the sensors on the thing. Well, here now, you'll go up to, in this case, a cooler, and AI will be able to reference your facial recognition, immediately access the cloud, pull down your information, most likely from DMV, with as many breaches that happen in the federal government. They'll take your social score and it'll have you down. It's going to help you make decisions. And you start this process where you can't go anywhere. I know the company that actually owns the patents on these displays that will be reading your BIOS, completely bio-interfacing your ass. And in one way, that's literally true. But the technology is now here that as you walk by the scanners, you won't even know they're there. They're going to have you down. Now, it's still in its infancy, but at the rate that it's growing, I don't know. Tell me, do you and do you want a company to have that data? I mean, what we're talking about here, by the way, who whether it's the distributor, whether it's the manufacturer, whether it's the data provider, they got your data, man. I say if you're going to use my data, pay me the royalty on it. You get behind me on that one? I know I got attorneys that listen. Why don't we just start something on that? Take these tech companies to task on that. It's our data. You know, I think we should be able to have an opt-out option, but if you believe that one, I got some property. So this story, Yahoo News, it's connected. So according to the UN, due to humans, 1 million species at risk of extinction. I think they forgot to add 1,000,001 sapiens, because it certainly seems like we're on the menu. Here's one. How changes in collective consciousness alter our everyday reality? Now, we're talking about, again, this started with Mr. Musk, and he was just speaking what's already been out there. Apple's been working on it for the longest time. Google's been working on it. Google, if you remember, how many of you remember the Google glasses? Most people think that that was a retail failure. In fact, it was just the opposite. It told Google more about us than you can imagine. Now, those who actually got a pair of them and were using them, all you were lab rats. And thanks to you, they learned something that has changed everything. Apple announced 2 years ago, in fact, before the departure of Steve Jobs, that they were working with machine interface to the human brain. In order, by thought, you could operate a device. This is changing things because, again, it's like once you go into a chocolatier store where they sell chocolates, you'll never forget that smell. I'm salivating now. I'd love to have a chocolate truffle. Wouldn't that, those things are great. All right. I showed you, and I'll continue to show you stories that update this. I showed you where China has already turned their military strategy, calculations, decisions over to AI. This was a real eye-opener, how AI changes B-2 and F-35 attack strategies. I mean, this is like Skynet type of crap. And I say crap because, I mean, you and I are just sitting here having a discussion. We have our weekday meetings. You can call it our boardroom. You can call it our coffee shop. You can call it whatever you want. But you and I don't have anything to say about these systems. And remember, AI is not a singularity. It's a collective. And it's everywhere. Its tentacles are penetrating virtually every aspect of reality. And now we've got them making key critical decisions that humans aren't involved in. And these are the ones that carry the nuclear weapons, along with a host of others. Keep with me on this one. Pew Research Center. Now, the reason why this just came out today, yesterday, 10% of Americans don't use the internet. Who are they? Now, what's really strange about this is that the adoption rate of which they're actually showing, and I think I can actually open this up in a, give me 1 second here. Here we go. So let's take a look at this. So 10% of the United States population, so they're saying roughly 33, 34 million people. 10% of adults. Now, look at the men and women. It's kind of equally divided. They get by ethnicity, white, black, Hispanic. Age groups, look at age 18 to 0. There's none. The 65 and older, okay. By income, well, they're showing that access to the internet is predicated on income, economic standing. They even get it down by age, high school education, and then urban and suburban and rural. So what I found interesting on this as well, look at this. At the beginning of the turn of the millennium, 2000, nearly 48% of American adults did not use the internet. Now put on your strategist hat with me, right? Follow me with this. So basically 50% of adult Americans in the year 2000 did not have access to the internet, didn't use it, didn't have access to it, etc. In less than 1 score, 2 decades, that number is now down to 10%. In a statistical curve, you've reached virtually 100% of your market saturation. Think of this as an invasion, because it is. It's an invasion of your privacy. All of our privacy, may be an invasion of our reality. I don't know. It's very clear that something ain't right, you know? So here we are in the year 2019, so 20 years. It captured us. I mean, if you have 90% of something, if you control 90% of a market, you control that market. Yeah. Strange one, isn't it? Why artificial intelligence is important. Now, this is from NIST.gov. By the way, this is the national intelligence part of our government. And they're kind of the ones that are supposed to be, you know, the tip of the spear, getting you to trust AI. AI is your friend. AI is always there. AI will never let you down. AI knows you better than you know yourself. Now, simply succumb, submit, and obey. Cultivating trust. It says NIST has a long-standing reputation for cultivating trust in technology by participating in the development of standards and metrics that strengthen measurement science and make technology more secure, usable, interoperable, and reliable. Now, how many breaches do we hear? Now, I get all the industry rags in the payment industry, merchant processing. There are breaches all the time. We tried to develop something back in the early 2000s called PCI, you know, because the internet was growing. Most companies, merchants, didn't have the knowledge or the money to have an IT department, had no way of protecting themselves. Their ports were open, intrusions were taking right and left. And in the industry that I came out of, I mean, I know there was a time, let me just say, to have gotten your banking information wasn't that hard. As credit card data began to become much more instantaneously, once it got hooked up to the internet, there was just a whole host of problems. There's actually artificial intelligence programs out there that do nothing but probe for breaches. You could call it the dirty AI, the bad AI, the bad boys or girls. You know, if we're going to assign a gender, let's just be equal. So I don't know about secure. I mean, I really don't. But I wanted to show you this just to make it plain how deep this is, folks. There's no turning back. No turning back. I couldn't even put all the articles I had. Agriculture on the farms, in American farms today, AI is taking over. And when you begin to get information on the millisecond almost of the most minutest detail, imagine a collective outside human intelligence collecting that information. I mean, this is truly the freaking matrix all the way around. It's no doubt about it. Designer nanobots changing humanity. Who are behind the nanobots? AI. You can't have a nanobot unless you have something, given it like a thin client application, given it an executive prompt. You know, you can't download the full operating system. So what you do is that you just have simple key codes for prompts. That's what nanobots run on. But the point of a nanobot is for it has a specific mission and data. Data. Some contend that all of us are contaminated with nanobots already. Don't know. But this used to be science fiction. Not anymore. Saw someone put this in the chat room. It's livescience.com. The quantum computer can see the future. All 16 of them. So was string theory, you know, a fallacy? It says when Magu boosts up his new computer, he can see the future. At least 16 possible versions of it all at the same time. Gu, an assistant professor of physics at Nanyang Technology University in Singapore, works in a quantum computing. This branch of science uses the weird laws that govern the universal's smallest particles to help computers calculate more efficiently. Unlike classical computers, which store information as bits, binary digits on either 0 or 1, quantum computers code information into quantum bits, or what we call qubits. These subatomic particles, thanks to the weird laws of quantum mechanics, can exist in a superposition of two different states at the same time. It's weird. The holographic universe. I mean, it's very evidence that, you know, we have Schrodinger's cat. I have a t-shirt on that. Wanted dead and alive. It's changing things. And if AI, and that's what this computer is, we've got quantum computers, we've got DNA computers, quantum computers now. And if a machine could list out 16 possible different futures, that coincides with Project Aquarius, with the looking glass device out at S4. And you're telling me that if you've got this ruling class of whatever they are that control virtually everything, you don't think that they're investing heavily in this? I mean, they've got long-term goals. I mean, that's the problem. Some people, it's why history probably wasn't written down until the Sumerians came along, and I'm sure we'll find someone older than them. But anyway, they had the first cognition of their place in time. So if you have the ability now to have on a quantum level, I mean, screw the tarot cards. No disrespect. It's just merely a metaphor. Because you've got a computer that you could sit down. I told you I'm buying one of those neural nets so I can do EEG training on my brain. And because I think it's important that we can do that. But my point here is that if you've got the elite, and they're heavily invested in this, Musk said, we looked at his company, Neuralink. It makes you feel more and more like, well, what is our lives? What's the value of our lives if you've got a computer, an AI, artificial intelligence, now has the ability to determine in each and every one of us, 16 at this point, possible futures. Now, if I was the one who was funding and pulling all the strings, I'd want to know, how much money are you going to bring to me? How much profit? And any of the number of companies, the world corporations I own, these international conglomerates, monopolies, how much can I anticipate you adding into my coffers? Let's say I wanted to be a real nefarious type of energy. How many people could a country get rid of with minimal splashback on their own citizens? Think about where this stuff is going. It's what the Chinese are doing, and I'm sure it's what the U.S. military and others are doing. Get this. This is again from NIST.gov. Hey, and by the way, check that site out. I mean, you want to get a dose of reality? Stop all the conspiracy crap. Go right there and you can see exactly what your tax dollars, United States citizens, are funding. Besides a whole lot of people coming over the border. AI may be better at detecting radar signals, facilitating spectrum sharing. We're replacing the people, man. I mean, all we're going to be is the janitors to this collective. It's already self-actuating its own code. Yeah, get strangers. Can virtually, this is statnews.com, can virtual reality boost positive feelings in patients with depression? The reason why I pulled this up, I want to show you where we're headed. We're heading for an alternate reality. We may be based in this one, but with AI ruling us, guiding us, dictating to us, enslaving us, incorporating us. Imagine a therapy now that it alters your state of consciousness. We're going to be doing the sensory deposition. I always get that. Deprivation chambers. And, that's the opposite. It's letting the mind, the soul. But here, is this addictive? Would this begin to change the neurons? Potentially the synaptic pathways? I mean, think about it. I don't know. mean, these are new territories. Had to get this one out. Wired.com. Man, you see, we've passed that precipice. We're over it. This is what the elite have access to. Gene editing coming for the womb. Excuse me. Got a frog there. So, look at this. You're talking about changing the genetic code. What is that? When humans have now the ability to start manufacturing that a couple wants a blonde-headed boy with blue eyes, we want to make sure that he has an IQ of at least 160. We want to make sure that, because in our family, there's a propensity, particularly on the husband, the father's side, for, well, genetic disease, such as, propensity for kidney cancer, other type of ailments. So we want to begin to go in now, remove that from our child. And by the way, they lack a certain gene that's going to give them a physical prowess. We've got to have that. This is where it's going. And now that while we have the fetus in the womb, doctor, we'd also like to begin to make some other potential changes where we want to make sure that his brain will interface with AI. Google's already working on it, a number of them already. But the thing is, this gene editing, I contend that that's exactly what China is working towards. A super race. And we know the Chinese are already doing this. Folks, this is a stunner. Cornell scientists create living machines that eat, grow, and evolve. We're talking about a soul of AI. Folks, if they're able to do this, this is life. Call it synthetic life. We're synthetic life. But if a machine can eat, consume, listen, it's alchemy at the highest level. To take in a consumable, to break it apart, and then transmute it into usable energy that allows you to grow. And the word evolve means something is thinking. Is this our replacement? So scientists from Cornell University have successfully constructed DNA-based machines with incredible lifelike capabilities. These human-engineered organic machines are capable of locomotion, consuming resources for energy, growing and decaying and evolving. Eventually, they die. Sounds like life to me. Imagine where this will be in 5 years. We're talking the advent of the synthetics. We talked about this, the DNA, what China is doing. And look at where we're going with this, folks. Soon you're going to be able to go in, if you can afford it, and actually have a boutique CRISPR facility, a gene editing. They're going to be able to do, again, if you can afford it, specific boutique analysis for you, where they can now begin to make it so that you'll never gain weight again. This is the weird stuff, folks. I mean, just the weird stuff. And if this isn't a systematic takeover of the collective, and like I said, I didn't even bring in all the stories I could. It's everywhere. It's on YouTube. They got more algorithms running. So I tell you, I contend that, yeah, people go on living their lives day in, day out, you know, modern conveniences. You've got smart kitchens now, smart bathrooms, the toilets coming out already in the design will be able to take analysis of your poop, your urine. Now, who they're going to send that to, I don't know. I don't want a toilet to do that. It's not the purpose of what my toilet is supposed to be doing. I don't like the fact that, good night, people, Mr. Bush. Guess you've had enough, huh? Your refrigerator. The way insurance, health insurance is coming, eventually it's going to be predicated upon your lifestyle. You're going to have a health score that will coincide with what you buy, what you'll have access to. I think there'll even be penalties. If you choose to live a lifestyle that is counterproductive to the collective and not being a good, productive citizen, you become undesirable. I think it's going to go. I see it getting to where you could drive up to your fast food restaurant, and as you're ordering, you say you want the big triple hamburger, whatever. An AI is going to come in and say, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Bush, you can't have that. We noticed that right now your respiration seems to be up, your blood pressure seems to be high, and you have a history of coronary disease. We can't sell you this hamburger. What we can recommend that you have our wonderful chef salad without dressing. Think about that. Your insurance company, your automobile, and that right now, if you buy a brand new car, 2018 model and newer, your car is a smart car. You don't own that car because you don't have the control to where someone else can literally turn your car off. Now, figure this one out. By your driving habit, we have determined, this is your insurance company talking to you, that unfortunately you don't have the ability of comprehending what the traffic laws are. We notice that you do not stop all the way at a stop sign. You seem to have the tendency of pulling in and out of traffic. We find you to be a higher risk. We've reported this as well to your state Department of Motor Vehicles, and we have suggested that they penalize you for your driving habits. And to tell you how far this can go, so you go up to the fuel pump to go to pump gas, and now because of your debit or credit card that you're using, AI has determined that, well, you're not a good driver. You cannot fill up your car. We'll allow you what we think is the proper amount of gas until you start learning to comply. You think I'm kidding? It's all integrated. And if it can start reading our minds, where your car, I've actually seen prototypes of where all you're going to do is think. And once the car gets in tune to basically your thought patterns, the car is the one thinking. Yes, I do, Franny. In fact, I think those private prisons are going to become more and more virtual reality. And I think the other thing is there's too many of us. But I'm seeing this is the way it's going to go. It's heading there right now. Every child born in the United States, the parents are not the sole authority of those children. They belong to the state. Their DNA belongs to the state. Parents today do not have a right to their own offspring's genetic material. Why? And when you begin to think about all the devices that we have in our homes, I read a thing that the goal is, if you go back and look at Agenda 21, how many of you remember Agenda 21? Go back and look at what the goal was, the end game for that. It's basically Metropolis and 1984 combined. It's to make us all prisoners. Let me tell you how YouTube is working, just to let you know how this is working. They put the fear, particularly if, you monetize in the little shackles, that they give you. They want you to become what they call self-censored. Because what they do is that they restrict you very hard until you begin to learn to comply to the ambiguities of community standards. They're very ambiguous. But the point is that if everyone starts becoming self-censored, well, then YouTube doesn't have to do anything at all. Does that sound like the Stockholm Syndrome? Yeah. We're all forced to comply. All right. Thank you for tuning in. 88 thumbs up. Love it. That's a great number. This has been deep, I know, but something is going on, folks. Something is much more powerful. This can't be. I told you I taped the Masters, and when I was watching the Sunday game, I started taking account. Well, IBM was the primary sponsor. And what did IBM promote? How many of you who watch the Masters know what IBM was promoting? AI. AI in everything. Watson everywhere. Watson in the fields. Watson in the medical room. Watson in the financial part. Watson in the daycare. Watson everywhere. And that's just one part of the hive. I dare say by now there's probably tens of millions of AIs. Thank you, David. Good night to you as well, my friend. So there we go. I've taken an hour of your time, but I'm serious about this. I am watching, as you get older, you become much more much more aware of the passing of time. Your cognition of the fact that time is passing becomes it's indelibly imprinted upon you. And what I'm seeing is freaking disturbing. In 10 years, I don't know if sapiens, unless there's going to be some sort of nova from our sun, and I contend we don't know about enough of our sun, an Ellie event. But if we continue this way, the transhumanist of the human transition of evolving, I don't think we're going to stop. Hey, April, how you doing? Karen, good to see you. All right, everyone, be good to yourself. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we have a special guest coming on. We're going to be dealing about cancer. I wonder what AI's plans for us in curing cancer. Listen, if this thing's capable of the trillions of calculations per milliseconds, yeah, I wonder. All right, folks, thank you. Namaste to all of you. Have a great day. You're the best. Thank you again. Favored be unto you until we talk. All right, bye-bye.